Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Speakers on Edge 15 minutes of fame where voices of vision share messages that matter. Now, my guest today, his name's Tom. Tom, who are you?
I am a coach, a professional speaker, and the author of My Life in Business Suits, Hospital Gowns, and High Heels. I was one of the first 100 employees at Facebook. We'll just say that I was employee 57, but who's counting? I gave up. I calculated it this morning, and if I had never sold one share of my stock, I would be worth $250 million talking to you today. That's not counting any interest, but I sold it all and I don't regret it a bit. I've held executive positions at Facebook, Walmart, MCI, Palm, and other startups. There was a lot of external success, but inside there was some collapse going on. There was an illusion of identity that was wrapped up in what I was doing, but at the same time, I was very ill. Like, what would you do if you were told 3 times you had 6 months to live? 3 times. 2 life-threatening illnesses, metastatic cancer for the last 13 years. Well, when I got those 3 times to live, each time I laughed at the doctor. If you want to upset a doctor, start laughing when they tell you have 6 months to live. It drove me to inspired me to go start something that focuses my business today on resilience, reinvention, and the power of taking risks. I think resilience and risks are like a muscle. Just like you exercise your bicep or your tricep, you can exercise risk and resilience. And yes, you heard me say about High Heels of the book. So if you want to know about that, you're going to have to read the book. But I will share this with you. I did strut in the heels. It gave me a way to stand up and make my own way. And what I've done in my book is I've taken different parts of my life to inspire my readers to understand that these different segments in our life, some that we are ashamed of, some that we want to hide, some that we just think people won't understand, and help you understand that the person you are today is made from the collection of those segments of your life. And without one of them, you would not be who you are today. My personal logo is the dandelion. It's a symbol to me of reinvention. You can cut it down, you can stomp it out, you can even poison it, and it still comes back. What I love about the dandelion is it spreads. It spreads just like resilience. It's a symbol for resilience. My favorite quote by Maya Angelou is, "Every storm runs out of rain." I'm curious what storm you're facing in your life. Knowing that after storms, the soil is more fertile than ever, I get curious when I work with people to know, what will you plant?
I am sitting here in awe, listening. And normally I'd be asking questions. I don't want to ask questions. I want to listen to you more.
Thank you, Jace.
There's okay. You got rid of the Facebook shares, those $250 million worth of shares. On one side, but on the other side, this is much healthier because you're not on there. I'm kind of glad of that. Being diagnosed 3 times, 6 months to live. Yeah, no. I personally had a major surgery and I died on the operating table. I wasn't told I had time to live. Yeah, that was, I was allergic to the anesthetic and it stopped my heart.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm glad to be here. Since I came back, I looked deeper into my life, and you talk about reinvention, resilience, and risks. What was the simplest risk you took, and what was the hardest?
You know, the simplest risk I took was to not listen to what I was being told about that I was going to have 6 months to live. I think there's something in my DNA and my personality that just jars me a little when someone tells me I can't do something. I sort of have the reaction, "Well, watch this." What I want to share with you, Jace, is while I didn't get the $250 million, I did okay. And the story turns into one of service to others. I do everything I do because I'm a philanthropist. I give to underserved communities, youth in the arts, first gen students, relevant women's issues, and other things that I have a passion for. That's my own personal philanthropy. My CPA and I have a nonprofit that we keep way under the radar, and we do things like support women who are discharged from hospitals for domestic violence and offer them Pilates or acupuncture to reacquaint with their bodies. We also help a woman who teaches little at-risk boys on the streets of Oakland, California, how to play the saxophone to give them an identity. We just make it possible for her to do more of that. The risks I've taken in my life range from the business suits, the hospital gowns, to the high heels. The business suits, stepping into positions and stepping up in them and acting as if knowing that I would succeed and excel. The hospital gowns you've heard about, facing so many treatments. I've had enough radiation that I glow in the dark. And the high heels, well, let me tell you a secret. Back when I was wearing high heels, it wasn't safe to do so. But part of that is who I am today, and I can't wait for you to learn more about it from my book.
This is an incredible journey you've been on. These people that you're helping, because I also work with nonprofits. And again, domestic violence was the theme behind them. And we've been doing education and entertainment for them. We've helped hundreds of people over the years. And it creates a greater sense of satisfaction than what I ever did when I was in the corporate world. Let's just jump back for a second. How has that life in the business suits prepared you for now? You talk about the segments have created you. What did they actually do for you to create you today?
Well, today I'm a coach and a professional speaker, and I primarily work with CEOs, founders, executive teams, or executive directors of nonprofits and their teams. You know, in the wonderful business life I had for many years, I learned an awful lot. I have a lot of life's wisdom. I've been able to take all of that and use it in service to others in my work to help them excel. I have something called the haystack method that I do. You know how people say it's like finding a needle in a haystack? Well, for me, it's really, really simple. Your needle is your answer, and all I do is hold the space to help clear away the hay so you can see clearly the answer you already know you have. So I've been able to use those many years in the corporate world, the things that I've learned from illness, and Jess, even a little bit about the high heels, to make a difference in the lives of many today. That's how I use it, Jace.
Okay. So the fun part about you is you're a very unique individual who is a real inspiration. Because when you look at your journey, how many of us can sit back and go, yep, we've been in the corporate world. I've stood in front of the corporate world. I spent, oh, 30 years in the corporate world, 20, 25 to 30 years in the corporate world. And I gave it all up and bought a juice bar on the beach on the Gold Coast of Australia and spent a year turning it into a six-figure business. It was the greatest thing I could have ever done. What was it at the end of the corporate world that you started? What was the first thing out of the corporate world?
Well, I think the first thing was my consulting business. And what happened then was boards would send me in as the COO or the VP of HR into companies, primarily startups, and tell me what the problem was they wanted me to solve. The interesting thing was that was rarely the problem that was uncovered. So that's how I used it first. But I also used my coaching skills to start creating a path to help others succeed in their roles and to excel and to grow. Some of those people were wanting to make a life change. They were either retiring or it was time to do something new, and they were having a very difficult time seeing what that path might be. Some were looking for the next level within their own organization and feeling like they had roadblocks in the way. Some people simply had lost their job and lost their path. So I utilized everything I knew, my experience, my skills, and my wisdom to help serve those people to find their next step. That was the first thing that I did.
I love this because you're everything that you have moved into, I can feel how passionate you are about it, how much you love what you're doing. You love being of service. And you've said being of service many times. And I think today, a lot of people, a lot of companies, they forget what being of service actually means. When I grew up, I worked in a supermarket, and if somebody said thank you, if a customer would ask you, where's the bathroom tissue? And you say aisle 6, and they'd go, thank you. Your response was, you're welcome. And it was just a polite way of finishing. And it showed service. And then I watched as the supermarket industry changed over the years. I liked it better when I was younger, actually, because you felt like you were part of the organization, part of that group, part of those people, being of service. Love your attitude there, the whole thing
Right.
about being of service. That to me is one of the greatest parts of your life. You have been of service at multiple levels through multiple life choices, from the suits, from the hospital gowns. I can bet while you were in hospital, you were giving those doctors and nurses a run for their money. I wouldn't see you as the patient just lying there going, okay, I give up, do whatever.
Not
Ah.
me.
And for the high heels, people are just going to have to buy your book.
Yes.
So, where can they get your book?
It will be out I'm supposed to say the early fall. We're targeting the first week of November, and it'll be everywhere major books are, the audiobook, the ebook, and the book. And you know, Jace, all this has led me to something that I speak on today, which is the philanthropic mindset. So many people I talk to when they hear I'm a philanthropist say, "Oh, I can't wait till I make enough money so I can be a philanthropist." Well, what I help to educate people on is that being a philanthropist doesn't involve galas or your name on a building. Often your smile or a simple hello comes from the philanthropic mindset. I remind many of my nonprofit clients that the person that makes a check for $1,000 or the person that gives you four quarters, it comes from the same place. It's from someone's wealth with the same intention. And to honor that and to be grateful for that. My life's work and purpose is an inspirator. I inspire others to take actions to reach their goals and dreams. And I hope you'll read my book, My Life in Business Suits, Hospital Gowns, and High Heels, and be inspired by it. It's why I wrote it, for the reader.
Tom, you are an incredible man. This has been an incredible 15 minutes. Where can people find you?
The best place to find me is at my website, tomlenoble.com. I'm also on all the socials and on LinkedIn, so you can find me there. But tomlenoble.com is the best place to find me.
Excellent. And we'll also have your photo on our website on the Speakers on Edge 15 Minutes of Fame page with a button to your website as well.
Thank you, Jave.
Wow. That's it for today's episode. Our 15 Minutes of Fame is up. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.